Hey, everybody. Welcome to Do It Like Danny relationship episode. I cheated. Coming up. I'm going to tell a million stories, and maybe one will hit home, and you'll be like, wow, that happened to me. And it's not about me. Well, it is. You know, television is a very, very crazy beast. I learned so much at Tyra. This is real emotion. This is something that I experienced.
I want the world to see what I have always seen, and that is the love that you have for just being yourself.
I love this person who knows who he is, who can make people laugh.
I think the script I gave you was a little bit different, but I'll take that.
Okay. Sorry.
I'm drinking at work because it's my show. I drink on my show. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Do It Like Danny. You're probably wondering why the disguise. So today's episode is about relationships. Bing. Hi, Louie. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing okay. And we have a special guest here today.
We do.
We have David!
Yeah, finally here.
David is here. Finally. He can tell all the horrible stories about Danny.
Oh, which one?
You've all been waiting. This is a uncensored beep version. But first,
Danny.
I have to tell everybody that I cheated.
Uh-oh.
What'd you do?
My longest relationship, the longest relationship I've had ever in my life. And actually, it's funny because, you know, men talk about they can't commit, but there's one person that they'll never cheat on.
Who?
Their barber. I cheated on my barber.
Is that why you have that thing covering your head?
I'm so sorry. I cheated on my barber. And now the reveal. Hi, everybody.
Hey.
I chopped off all that hair.
You did have a lot of hair.
I had a lot of hair. In fact, when it was all on the floor, it was, it was everywhere. So, hi. Welcome to Do It Like Danny, short haircut edition. I'm back, and I look so much younger. I didn't realize, man, when you have long hair, I looked old.
You look old.
Like, I looked drowned out, and I was still, like, putting my shoe polish in, but it was still, like, pretty, like, you know, people were like, how old are you? And I'm like, 67? And then nobody fought me, and I was like, oh, okay. So I'm so sad to say that I had to cheat on you, Christopher, my barber who moved to Bakersfield, who I was like, when do I have time? Like, I don't have any time to, like, drive up there, which sounds silly because I actually drive for a living right now. But I mean, to drive all the way up there, so I had to cheat on him. I went with a barber in Echo Park, like in the Silver Lake area. Mm-hmm. I found him on Instagram, and that's one thing about Christopher. He told me, he said, you know, if you ever have to go to another barber, you should sit in the shop and you should watch, like, who's cutting and who's, you know, before, because that's your brand. This is my brand. This is my brand, not that long hair stuff. And so I saw all of his videos on Instagram, and so I just kind of like, I'm like, you know what? If it's bad, I'll drive to Bakersfield to have Christopher fix it. Number one. Or number two, if it's bad, it's going to grow out anyways.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it grew so long, so quickly. The thing about Christopher's cuts are I never even got a haircut. And it still looked good being so long. Yeah. Like, I didn't have to do anything to it. And going to this barber, like, he was nice. I don't want to mention his name because I don't want people to be like, oh, my God, fuck that guy. I don't want to get him canceled. No, he was just like, listen, I tried to support the community. Uh-huh. He was in the community. He's in the bear community.
Oh, okay.
He's a bear barber. That's all I'm going to say. This particular barbershop, though, had a bunch of bear barbers. And, and so I was able to, first he was like a few minutes late, like 5 minutes late. He was eating his lunch, which is fine. I don't really care. But I had an opportunity to kind of sit back and look at all the barbers. And I was like, oh, that one looks like he'll be better next time. So I'm going to go back and book. I'm going to go to the same shop. Yeah. I'm probably going to book someone different. Because here's how I feel. Like, when you first approach, I had never met him before. Okay. And he has a huge following on Instagram. Like, so I was like, oh, cool. Maybe it'll be, you know, fun and nice. But when he came up to me, I was like, oh, hi, my name is Danny. He goes, you know, fuck, this is going to give it away. Too. And so,
I'll bleep that out.
So listen, you know, I walked up to him. There was no, hi, how are you? Is this your first time? There was no experience to it.
Yeah, he was just like, get on the seat, let's go.
Yeah. It was like, are we in a bathhouse? Okay. And so of course I was totally that person. He goes, well, how do you want your haircut? I'm like, I want all of this gone. And he goes, really? He goes, then you go through the numbers. Are you number one? And that's the thing about Christopher. Like, I never knew what
never
number
had-
I
yeah.
was. I just sat in the chair
And
and
he took
he
care
did
of it,
all
yep.
the magic. I didn't know if there was a half and a zero and a quarter of a century or whatever the fuck they call it. I go, this is what Christopher described. This is what my barber described it as. It's a hood skin fade.
A hood skin fade.
It's a hood skin fade. And he goes, he kind of chuckled a little bit. Like, that was it. There was no more. He didn't emote anything more than that, right? And he goes, okay. And I took my Instagram. And I go, this is what my hair normally looks like.
Yeah.
And I started showing out my photos. And he was just like, he
so
just was,
uninterested.
yeah. He wasn't like, oh, that's a cool, you're in Hawaii, or wow, look, you're naked, or you know what I mean? Like, he didn't say anything.
Yeah.
And so I was, again, I was like, should I get out of the chair? Should I get out of the chair or wait for the guy? Like, I'm like, you know what? It's going to grow back. It's going to be fine. I can't control it. I'm trying not to control things. I'm not going to control it. So I was like, right? I kind of giggled like in like a nervous way. And then I let him do his thing. So he does it. This is what was unnerving for me personally. He never faced me in the mirror.
Huh.
He cut my hair the opposite way. I was looking at the entire shop.
Oh, so you couldn't see any
I
of
couldn't
it.
see anything of it, right? It really was a reveal.
Do you think he kind of did it on purpose?
I don't know. But honestly,
heard
like,
that before.
so for someone like me who I'm control freak 101, I was like, right?
Didn't know what to expect.
I was so nervous. So I was like, I got to untense myself. And so I was going through like a whole checklist of things in my mind, like, breathe, relax, calm down. It's going to be okay. And he's all, right? And snip, snip, snip. And I'm like, and I could feel him cutting my hair with a razor, which is kind of cool. Christopher did that once in a while. I don't like the razor because the razor makes it shoot straight up. It does something with texture. And so whatever. But I said, I showed him the photos and I was like, and then I even said, are you good? And he's like, he didn't say anything. So I'm like, oh my God, this is fucked. I'm going to totally look bald or whatever. And so then he says, like, just meanwhile, he's got the clippers on. And I see him talking to me and I'm like, I'm fucking deaf.
Yeah, you can't hear out of one ear.
I worked in television for how many? I go, I'm sorry. Oh, you're talking to me? Like, I was like, who else is he gonna be talking to, right?
Yeah.
Are you talking? Are you talking to me? And he goes, yeah, yes. What do you do this weekend? And I was like, getting a new haircut. I didn't say that. I told him I was gonna go to some concerts, and he goes, oh, cool. And that was it. Like, that was it. There was never any other conversation. And then when he was done, I still didn't even face the mirror. He took the handheld mirror
and gave it
and
to
put it
you.
in front of me, and I was like, oh, it's so great, right? Because I was like, I don't know what to do. And he goes, do you want product? And I said, no, I'm good. It was dry at that point, and he had sprayed it with water, so it was kind of still wet. So then I got in my car, and I was like, looking at it. I'm like, it looks good so far, right? And then, I went out. I felt amazing. I felt so good. I felt like, oh my God, so pretty. She's so pretty. Oh, hello, God, can I help you? Right? And I woke up this morning and I looked in the mirror and I was like, I could see like chunks of like
Where he missed.
tufts of hair. And when I went to go comb it, it was like all like
Pieces sticking up.
long hair, like in the back. So I had to put gel in it to like shape it.
Yeah.
So what it looks like, it does look like he did a great job, but I had to do a lot to figure it out.
Yeah. Whereas when we're with Chris, it's just you wake up, put some water, and you're good.
I mean, I have to say he really did spoil me.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's my longest relationship. And it's true. Like, I don't think you ever want to cheat on your barber. Your barber knows your hair. I mean, where do you get your hair done?
A place by my house. Monica was doing it for a while during the pandemic.
What?
Yeah. Yeah. Couldn't go get a haircut.
That's true.
Oh my
That's true.
I went for like 6 months without getting a haircut or shaving. So I was like full beard,
Oh, wow.
long hair.
Oh,
and then finally I'm like, okay, I'm starting to get
It's a
depressed
sign.
looking at this in the mirror. Like, okay, it's time. And so we sat down. She used actually like a beard clipper to do my hair. And then we finally ordered an actual like kit. And just YouTube videos and practice, and it worked out. It turned out pretty good on the first try. Mind you, I had like a good tall glass of whiskey.
Yeah.
Literally, only like 3 people have ever cut my hair in my entire life.
Oh, wow.
Like,
Oh, you see?
I had a childhood like lady cut my hair, then went to college, had a barber, and then pandemic. And then it was like, okay, so what do I do now? Like,
It's true. It is the longest relationship, and you really won't cheat on your barber because. But I had to cheat, and
Yeah.
I realized how spoiled I was. And I want to give this other barber a chance. I feel really bad, but he did a pretty good job for the most
looks
part.
clean,
like
but-
it looks clean.
yeah.
I'm just used to my skin fade. I'm just a little spoiled with Christopher. That's truth be
you have
told.
to get used to the new person.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna take a minute. Because then when he was telling, when I go, I want a zero. Then he goes, you just want skin, and I was like, yeah, maybe. Like I second guess myself because again, I've never had to answer those questions with Chris. I would just sit in the chair, and I would 30 minutes later, I was like,
So what is that, a number 2?
it's a half.
It's a half, okay.
Which I didn't even know that existed.
yeah, it does. You could ask for a half. I usually get the 2, but mine grows too fast.
Yeah, so I want to do skin fade. I don't want any. I don't care if it's stubble. It's gonna grow out anyways.
Yeah.
This will grow out faster than the top anyway, so it's not a big deal. So it's fine. It's so fine. One thing I forgot to touch on. Hello, so rude. This is like my total brand. I always forget to introduce people, and I'm not trying to be rude or mean or anything, but I always fucking forget. And so what I have to say is when I introduce David, people are like, "Who the fuck is that? Who's that?" So David was my audience coordinator over at Se Habla, and we have been dying to have him on my show to be able to talk about and fortify the insanity that I experienced over at Se Habla. And so
Evidence and proof now.
yeah. And so he's here, and we're talking about relationships. For those of you that are just tuning in, like we're live anywhere. But anyways, if you're just tuning in, we're talking about relationships, and think about that for a second. What does relationships like? What's your longest relationship, Lou?
Oh, well,
It could be anything. It could be like,
well, my longest relationship was with a girl I knew from high school, and then that ended, fairly terribly, but I think it was for the best. But what does it mean to me like today?
yeah. Do you want to be in a new relationship?
Do I? No, I've been in kind of off and on relationships since I've been in high school, so it's kind of nice to be alone and just kind of take in everything. And
A free
I mean,
agent.
I don't know if I would have the freedom to do this show or some of the things I'm doing now if I was in a relationship with that said person.
Really?
Yeah, she kind of. I felt like I always had to take care of her and kind of put myself to the side. Now it's just kind of like all me. So
Interesting.
yeah.
What about you? Yeah, you're married.
Well, you're married.
David's married. Big O
It's
X.
gonna be 9 years at the end of this month.
Wow.
So I was in David's wedding.
Yeah,
I was
he was-
thinner back then.
we have to have pictures. You guys got to send me pictures of the
Oh yeah,
yeah.
There's time. There's that. Yeah, because so I don't want to talk over him, but when he got married, it was like, was I still at the talk?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, or
Oh,
say
yeah,
Habla.
yeah.
Sorry.
Even I remember that.
God, I forget so many things people tell me, and I'm like, I really? Oh, okay.
How did you ask him?
The way I asked all my groomsmen, I walked up to him. I had a beer mug and a coaster that
Nice.
had groomsmen on it.
Nice.
And
Yeah.
I told him, "Hey, open this up." He's like, "What is this? What is this?" And I'm like, "Just open it. Like, don't ask questions. Just open it."
That control.
Yeah.
How did you feel? Like when you opened it, were you
I was
surprised?
totally honored. No, I was
Why?
honored. I
Oh,
wasn't
okay.
surprised. Not that I expected it. You know what I mean? Like it was more like an.
You
Listen,
expected
everything.
it.
My relationship with David has always been like. I feel like and I've said this before, that if I ever had a son, I would want my son to be like David, if that makes any sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Aw.
he's a good kid, and I still call him a kid, even though he's a fucking man now.
Doll.
But to me, he'll always be a
I
kid
have
to
more gray hairs than you
me.
do.
Well, how old were you when you guys met?
I was like 50.
And you were.
I mean, no. So, David, when did you start working at Se Habla?
The first day of season 1.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
You guys are on the same.
So that
Wow.
was October the 9th or 10th of 2010 or 9?
10.
And how old were you?
I was 24. Oh
my God.
Yeah, I think 24.
Wow.
Yeah. It's crazy.
And how old were you?
Oh my God.
52.
I was in my 30s.
84 years.
I was in my 30s. Wow.
Yeah. Time flies, huh?
So backstory. So, and I'm sure you'll be able to, share more. how did I find you?
Oh, you found me. What was it on Mandy.com?
Mandy. Is it still around?
I don't think so. I think they changed the name.
Oh, so at the time that I started to become the audience producer for Se Habla, I was putting together my team, and David came to me via a website that is strictly for television jobs, if you will, all aspects, whether it's producer, executives, PAs, everything across the board. And so I put it out there. I put looking for audience people, and he applied. And I interviewed him, but I think at that time, David, I think I already had hired the majority of people. And I think that's the reason why either I didn't have the budget for you, I could only keep you for part-time.
Yeah, so originally it was for part-time, but do you remember the hiring freeze? Because I sure do.
What was the hiring freeze?
So
no?
Danny calls me and he says, "Congratulations, I want to bring you on. It's part-time." I'm like, fantastic. It's my, I'd done some other, internships and part-time work. And I'm like, oh, it's for a daytime talk show. It's a big deal. Like, finally breaking into the industry. And at the time, I was really in a fight with my boss. So I'm like, yes, I got hired. I can leave. I'm like, yes, I can't wait to get out. And then Danny's like, someone from accounting will call you and, get all the paperwork, yada, yada. If you don't hear from by tomorrow, early next week.
Yeah.
Week goes by, email Danny, hey, what's going on? So we're in a hiring freeze.
Oh, no.
And I remember writing back, I was like, so all hope had left my body. I was like, no. I'm like, what do you mean by hiring freeze?
I wonder what that was.
And he's like, I'm so sorry. Hang tight. We'll figure it out. And then I think it might have been the day before the premiere. You called me saying, hey, can you come in? I'm like, absolutely.
Oh, wow.
Let's do it.
And you had already prior experience working on television or no?
Yes, I'd done an internship for about 6 months on the TV show Extra.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so did that for a while. And then some small, PA stuff here and there for commercials.
But I mean, this is the best part, though. I mean, you have to tell them where you started, where you were working at the time.
Of course, Daniel loves having me tell this story. I was working at Sports Authority in the footwear department. I was the head of the footwear department at Sports Authority. And yeah,
David was dealing in shoes.
Oh,
So
wow.
I had to save him.
Yeah.
he did.
It was your duty.
I had to save him.
But the craziest part is that we grew up and interacted without knowing it over the years.
Oh, wow.
Like Mimi's Cafe. I lived
Oh,
near
yeah.
Danny. Mimi's Cafe. I went opening weekend to Mimi's Cafe.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Where-
Really?
Yeah, but you probably were 6.
Oh, I was so yeah. I'm not saying we knew each other and met.
I'm like,
probably-
do you want a crayon, little boy?
Absolutely.
Do you need a high
David's all got
chair?
crumbs on his face. Like, one day you're gonna be my coordinator.
Yeah, right?
Wow, that's pretty funny, though.
And then Cheesecake Factory had how many
Oh,
birthdays
yeah.
I went to at Cheesecake Factory
Oh,
in
yeah.
Woodland Hills.
So
I was probably
weird.
there.
Destined.
Yeah.
That's so crazy. It really was crazy. And so, so then I, brought you on, and David was a dream. He was so good because he had the mentality of myself, whereas those details, and he just was really good.
Well,
Listen,
what did you see in his application that he put on there where you're like, ooh, this guy seems like a good fit for me and what I'm looking for?
It's interesting that you say that because I never really paid attention to anyone's resume. I wanted to talk to them.
Got it.
Anybody could put anything on a resume. I mean, it's just pomp and circumstance. Even today, people put all their information in a program and it spits out this thing with geometric patterns and all these different fonts. And I feel like as an employer, it's like, do you look at that? Unless maybe you're going for graphic design.
Yeah.
I think if you're going for graphic design, then I think that speaks volumes. Like, oh, look at all 85 different fonts and how amazing. But at the end of the day, it's in television, and I say this, and I will always believe this: you either have it or you don't.
Yeah.
And I don't think that there's any way to teach it, which is that's probably very narrow-minded of me to say, but you could try to teach it, but there's just an instinct in you. There's something in you that is like, oh, I'm gonna ruin my life. I want to be in TV. No, I'm just kidding. No, but there's something instinctual that like not everybody has that. A lot of people don't. And there really is book smart versus street smart.
Yeah.
But television is like a weird mix of both. You can't just have one or the other.
have to have both.
You
Wow.
could have book smart, and you could become like a writer or a script supervisor, or someone that is in charge of all the grammar, all the punctuation, the pronunciation, all that. Right? That checklist. That's great for you. But as that person, I feel like you never have an opportunity to interact and produce guests.
Got it.
Because you're just so dry. And whereas versus the creative side, which is that you need that intuition. You need the street smarts to be like, oh, this person, this is my baby daddy. Oh, they're telling me a lie. Right? And you're like, let's go with a different guest. You have to have this sense of like, sounds like bullshit.
Yeah.
And some people don't have that either. So you get these producers that come in and they're like deers in the headlights. And some of them, listen, are still in it. God bless them. But they're just good kiss asses, and that's really horrible. I shouldn't make that assumption about everyone, but it's true.
But it's true, yeah.
And then there was me. I was like fucking bitch on wheels that came in because I realize now that I'm older. I realize now that I'm older that the way I acted in my 30s was not inappropriate, but I was trying to be somebody and be something, right? I was trying to prove something. I was trying to prove that the audience was the best thing in the whole wide world, which in reality it was not. I smoke and mirrored my way through a lot of different things, and I come to the realization that when you meet me, you're either going to love me or you're going to hate me.
Yeah.
And I know that hate is a strong word, but there's no middle ground.
Yeah.
There's no someone that's in the middle unless they are looking to like stab me in the back. Then they want to get in.
Yeah.
And then they want to stab me in the back,
Yeah.
right? But other than that, it's like either people are like, oh my God, Danny Verdugo, or they're like, he's a fucking bitch.
Yeah.
Or that guy's a dick. And which is, am I the villain in people's stories? Absolutely.
David, do you care to comment on that?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, I've told Danny before many times he's very much like cilantro. Either you love him or you hate him.
It's true, yeah.
And sometimes it's an acquired taste. But
Yeah.
I said, at the end of the day, Danny always got the job done.
Got it.
And sometimes people always interacted with him at the wrong time.
I see that.
And the sad part, not to interrupt you, but I feel like, here's the sad part. Like, I feel that 90% of the time was always the wrong time.
Yes, 100%.
Because, you'd be seeing the audience and people would come and they'd be like, so in the third segment, we're going to, and I'm like, okay, how many, we're going live in 3 minutes. I just got the clearance to load the audience and you want to go over a segment, which should have been done like 20 minutes ago,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And in the moment, now I'm doing my job. This is what I need to do. And David was always so good because David, so they were never on our channel, the producers.
Yeah.
So when
God.
I would be doing my stuff, right? And then they'd come up to me and I'd be like, and I think you could see the look of like I want to stab him in the face over and over again. And David would be in the headset, smile, smile. And I'd be like,
Verdugo, smile, please.
He was,
smile.
He was always telling me to smile because listen, I'm a very emotional person.
Yes.
I wear my heart on my sleeve. There's no secret and shock in there. And yeah, did I rub a lot of people the wrong way? Probably. I think if you like cilantro, which is great, I love that now. Like cilantro, you can grow to love it.
Yes.
And I think some people grew to respect and understand what I did. And the ones that didn't understand it and didn't respect it are the ones that, God, that guy's a fucking dick. He's
Or they're
an
dead.
asshole.
Or they're dead.
Or they're dead. Rest in power.
That's so funny.
And David was always a good gauge of like, Verdugo, you can't do that, Verdugo. I'm like, I'm gonna fucking do it.
So you were
Bring it down a
really
notch.
Yeah, David had the conscience, and I was
Yeah.
like, whatever. We're all gonna be in the same box one day. Who cares? I'm gonna just do it.
So it really was good cop, bad cop.
Yeah, totally.
yeah.
Oh, totally.
Oh, yeah.
And it'd be funny because people would. They always knew how to get things out of both of us because they would like, float things to David, and David would be like, so
I'm
Kelly
getting word.
says, listen, I don't care because, listen, that doesn't make a difference anymore at this point. But they all thought they could pull strings, but I always found out.
Yeah.
Like, no matter what, I always found out. They try to keep things. Hello, Tawny. And yeah, okay. So they try to keep things from me, and they thought I would never find out. But David knew, and David never told me. And then in a roundabout way, I would find out. And then when I found out he knew, I'd be like,
You motherfucker.
So Dave has this X-Men gene power. Okay, he could have had magnetism, see-through walls. No, he's
people who like him.
he was always in the wrong place at the right time.
Wow.
Always. If you were doing something wrong, and he would never be walking this path ever. Ever.
But on this specific
And on this day, he decided to walk around the stage, and bam. Or, we'd have reports every day, and he never really looked at it. But that one day that you missed one thing, he'd be like, "You're missing it. You're missing it."
Now imagine.
Do I need to go back and look at everything? I was just like,
imagine had you looked at every one that you didn't look at, what you would have found.
Oh my God, it's so true. Because they would we had a trailer that held giveaways, and they'd be like, "We're missing one," and I'd be like, "What's this, Messiah?"
yeah.
And he'd be like, "Motherfucker!" Damn it, he'd be so pissed off. I don't know. Yeah, I was always there at that moment.
Or he'd find something, like he was just saying, like, something would fall behind. And I'm like, I looked everywhere. It's not here. We didn't get it. And then he'd be like,
What's that?
and I'd be like, so yeah.
Oh God.
But they, we had a very much, fire and ice. Like, we were a great team. Yeah. We pulled each other that, I'd calm him down. He'd spice me up, or, even working with the team. They would call us mom and dad because you never wanted to disappoint dad, but you never piss off mom. It's true.
Wow, you guys heard it here first.
Yeah, it's true. It's very, very true. I mean, listen, and I will be honest, like I put you through the ringer on a lot of different things, but you always did so well. So I knew I could do it. I knew I could push and push and push to make him better and to make him stronger, faster. And I mean, he handled a lot. We both handled a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, everybody on that show handles a lot. I don't want to sit here and say like, "Oh, we did the most." I mean, that was another foolish thing I thought for many years also too. And I was like, "Oh my God, we booked the audience, we put them in the seats, we do giveaways, we do this, we do that." There's so many different things. There's so many cogs in our wheel just to be a wheel. And then now looking at the producer side of it, I'm like, they have a lot too. Theirs is on a different level of a lot of things to do. They have a lot of like meeting after meeting after meeting of like ridiculous stupid things. That's the one thing about television, whereas like I never understood that. Why are we having a meeting about a meeting that we discussed about 3 months ago that's going to change 3 minutes before the show goes live?
Exactly.
Which makes no sense. I feel like there's so many positions that just waste money. And I think in my department, it was very efficient. Like I ran with my team, an amazing department in terms of making sure that things were covered. You guys always had coverage. I mean, I always was the squeaky wheel because, if they would throw things on, like we had a baby shower show. David Stoller, was that the first insane one? The baby
all
shower
of them were
show?
insane. We talked about it. Every baby shower show was insane.
But I'm trying to think, were the holidays that wild? No. The baby shower
Holidays were-
show was probably the biggest one. So
Yes.
for those of you that don't know what the fuck we're talking about, on the show Se Habla, they did a baby shower show where they had, I don't know, and maybe this is, I think maybe too little, 15 or more giveaways. It had to have been, right?
More.
Yeah, because
More.
there was a whole thing of gift certificates too.
Yeah.
And so here's what happens when you have giveaways. You either get one of two things, fucked or fucked. And the first fucking that you get is, well, the executives just approved this. And you're like, but the show's tomorrow. Okay, we'll get a gift certificate. Well, the brand is sending a freight truck overnight. They paid extra for a driver to like drive it from Wyoming all the way here, which could have been a fib. It could have been somebody dropped the ball. Meanwhile, Wyoming was already on the way weeks ago. Right? Whatever, it is what it is. And then great. So when you get a delivery at our at our stage, you have to have what they call a lift gate. The reason why is we don't have a dock. So if you have ever done deliveries, you'll probably understand what the fuck I'm saying. But if you don't, just stay with me. So a 47-footer pulls up and it's got all product in it. Well, how are we going to get that product off? It's all on pallets, and they would show up without the lift gate. Oh, wow. So I had to make relationships with the people on the lot that were not even a part of our show.
Yeah. Just
And
to
so
help you
I'd have
along.
to like give them flowers, or if there were extra chocolates, or, I had to figure out ways to grease people's palms to get what we needed, because there was a whole union side to it too. There was, our tractor, God rest him, he also passed away, rest his soul in power, peace. And he was great, but he was totally union. They're like, oh, wow, you got to fill this report out, and you got to do this, and it's got to be in triplicate form, and then you got to get it notarized. I'm like, what? Notarized? Like, it's a TV
And on
show.
top of that, he's doing other stuff for the show. It's not like we can just steal him
Gotcha,
whenever we
gotcha.
want. We have to negotiate a time for him to get a forklift, help us, and then head back.
Yeah, and it doesn't work that way because we don't know when the truck is going to show up. He's driving at his own pace. I mean,
Yeah.
he could stop at a truck stop. There's so many variables on a delivery, whereas on the stage side of it, where he would help them, they go, oh, we have, graphics coming between noon and 1. They were able to give themselves a time frame. We didn't have a time frame. So I had to skin a cat a different way multiple times. And so I made friends on the, we all did.
Oh, yeah.
And so we would be able to get what we needed to get it done.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of that. So going back to the baby shower show. So imagine that truck, if you will. I don't know, like 6 or 7 more of them. We ended up getting, I think, 75% product. So I had to come up with a plan of how we were going to distribute all this.
Yeah.
So we did. We did.
Oh, man.
And it was wild because we had to put it all in their cars. So then here's the other part of it too. So you never really want to ruin the magic of that moment, right? You're coming to a baby shower show. I mean, is it implied that there's giveaways? Maybe. Do people assume? Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
This was also the first one, so
Yes.
people didn't really know what to expect.
True. But we did have to tell them there may be some giveaways. There may be something that may be product. So please make sure that you come with your car empty. Well, some of these women came together in a car, like carpool, 4 of them in it.
And 4 of them in a Honda Civic.
Oh my God. So imagine trying to put like strollers
Yeah, oh, yeah.
and, and it was wild. It was so intense. It was so insane. And meanwhile, people were in my ear, Dan, you have to go to the meeting. I'm like, I can't go I can't go to meetings. Like, there's still things that I need to do with my department. And I never wanted to be that boss that was,
You guys handle it. I'll be back.
I never wanted to do that. And I think honestly, you can say that 90% of the time, I was always right there in the
Oh, yeah.
trenches, like
Always.
cleaning, doing whatever, rearranging the holding room, like trying to make it better. I always wanted to change it every single year to do just something different
But
to make it.
Did the other producers expect you to do that?
No. Oh
No?
God. Well, no, because they didn't understand it. Even our executive producers, to this day, they probably will never know how we made the sausage. I mean, and that's actually how it was explained. A couple of executives were like, we don't care how the sausage is made, just make a sausage, right? So what do? Unfortunately, in my days of trying to make sausage, I probably burned a few cooks. You know what I mean? Like, I pissed off a few of the butchers.
Yeah.
Because I just wanted it to be done. And I think also for me, as a supervisor, I always wanted to be perfect. I wanted it to be perfect on all levels, whether their experience from coming into the show, my staff's experience. And I think I fell short quite a few times on that.
David, do you want to comment?
I mean, also at the same time, like, our jobs, we deal with the public, so we have to make sure that everyone has a great time and experience so they can come back. The whole point is they come and they keep on coming.
Yeah.
So if they come just one time and it's off, that can, domino effect, and they hate it or they don't like you or,
Yeah, they wouldn't come again.
Yeah.
And, listen,
we were a young show too. Like, that was the first season. So there was a lot of
like, I think about now as I'm flooded with memories, because like having you here, like, until you have someone in front of you that was in the trenches with you, you're like, oh fuck. Remember standbys? Like, there's so many stories. Like, there's so many stories. So, going back to kind of like why David's here and like relationships is like, David is probably one of like my most favorite and the best business relationship that turned personal, that we will always remain friends. We will always be, you know, I don't see myself ever not in his life to some extent,
Same,
you know, and your mom is great. Like your whole family, like everyone in your family, like
same.
it's, you know, amazing. And, you know, being married to Monica, like that's crazy too. It's like your child got married, even though it's not my child, but I feel like I've always felt very close to David in an emotional way because I feel that out of everybody in my department, like he was the most moldable, like to make him into this great, amazing thing. And he did, I mean, God, like the things that you've done, you bought a home, you've succeeded in so many different ways. Me, I'm still fucking in an apartment. I mean, listen, am I traveling the world? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But, you know, we all make different choices, and David made some great choices.
Yeah.
So, you know, he's had an amazing life so have I. I can't complain.
Yeah.
But going back to the show and like in relationships, it was, you know, this show is about exposing who I was, where I'm going, what I've been through, right? So my relationships on the show probably were not as good as they should have been. There were some people, here's the other weird thing too, and there were people that were kind of like on my side, but played both sides of the fence.
Yes, absolutely.
So when, you know, I was not in the room, they're like, oh, fucking Danny. And, you know, you're like, so you didn't really, how could I feel close to anybody other than my team? I didn't feel close to anybody on my staff.
Yeah.
Because they were so two-faced.
Plus, also, we were in separate buildings.
Yeah.
And it was very much, those kids are in that building, we're in our building.
So it was cliques.
It was very cliquey.
Yeah.
And whenever we, like, they try to do, like, a joint thing, like, oh, we'll go to drinks after work, everyone sat at their own table, so it was still a clique. It never molded.
Never molded, yeah.
Well,
Like-
what's interesting, because like you got to experience that, but I didn't experience that at Tyra. At Tyra, and people be like, oh, Tyra. At Tyra, it was not like that. At Tyra, we didn't sit at different tables. Everybody was together. Even when we were in our heyday in New York and it was wild and crazy and people were like falling in the streets, breaking their teeth, we were still together. Whereas I feel like it's interesting, and I'm going to bring this up because a writer told me this because he's from the East Coast, and he explained it this way. He said, in LA, if you're driving down the freeway and you see a girl and she has a flat tire, people will take video and be like, oh, Instagram,
Poor her,
TikTok,
yeah.
oh, poor her, right? But nobody will stop. If you're in New York, that same girl, same situation, people may do that, but a New Yorker is going to pull over. They may cuss you out and say, what the fuck are you doing by yourself over here? Did your father not teach you how to change a tire? Blah, blah, blah. But they're going to help you.
They're going to help you, yeah.
Which I thought was a really great way to kind of put it. And that's how I feel about LA, and especially about the show Se Habla. It was a lot of people that were afraid to make big moves. And here was this, like, I wouldn't say, would you say I was polarizing? Maybe. Yeah. Danny had no filter. Danny had no
None.
filter. Yeah. No, whatsoever. Ever. On all levels.
Yeah.
And it's not that I didn't care. I just was, you know, yeah, it just, you know, I guess in the back of my mind, I've always approached things as like, fuck, we don't have a lot of time here.
No.
We really don't. So why don't we just do it right the first time? Like, why does this have to be so hard?
Yeah.
Why does everybody have to be in on this meeting? Why does everybody need to sign off? Look, it's going to happen anyway. Just do it, right? But not everyone shared that same mentality as myself. And when going back to what David described as being in our building was like fun.
Yeah.
Like our office, you could hear us through the air conditioning vents because we were always laughing. I enjoyed that environment. We were always on the phone, and you'd get crazy people, and we would share stories in that beat. I mean, there were 7 of us in one room.
Wow.
There were 7 of
Maybe
us in the
8
room.
sometimes?
Yeah, and it was tight. Like, and it was, and maybe I've described this before. It was a weird situation. We didn't have a door to the outside.
Yeah,
We
you
were like in
mentioned
the
this.
middle, in the corner, and one of our doors went through a closet into a meeting room. So we were like, someone just cut a hole in a closet, and that was the office. And on the other end, again, we were like in the corner. It was a weird, like it was a torture room. Maybe
Yeah.
it was Moonvez's fuck room.
Oh, maybe.
Maybe
huh?
that was his like dungeon. I didn't think about that because you know, it could have been. I wonder if we look back on the blueprints to see if it's on there. Stacy, I need you to go look at the blueprint.
That's so funny.
Did you hear that episode of it? Yeah.
So going back to David, because he mentions that, you know, he kind of pushed you, and always felt that you would get it done. How did that make you feel? Like, did you know at the time he was doing that to help you, or were you like, damn, it's always me?
Fuck this guy.
Both. There are definitely, trust me, as much as I love Danny, there have been multiple times where I've literally wanted to strangle him. You know, and a couple times I was like on the verge of quitting.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know,
wow.
all those times in New York.
Yep. Oh yeah.
You know, those
That was
crazy.
hard.
I mean, once you get there talking about it, but man, those
Yeah.
were some terrible days.
Those were some really terrible. Those people were awful to us.
Yeah.
And me having no filter, I would just
18-hour days, 3 days in a row.
Oh yeah.
Well, the first time was 5 days in a row, but
Fuck, it was bad.
Wow.
but
it was really
yeah,
bad.
no. Danny definitely pushed me, and I always appreciate that. Like as a supervisor, he always gave you the good, the bad, and the everything else.
The
Well,
super
again,
ugly.
with no filter. Which, again, is very. I always appreciate that from a supervisor because many people just go with the motions.
Yeah.
Or they only are on you when you do something bad and never anything good. Danny always, you know, when you did something, when you messed up, he called you on it.
Yeah.
But also when you did something good, he called you on
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and said, "Oh, great job," or "Good job booking the audience today," or "Oh my God, you handled that perfect," or "What were you thinking?"
Yeah.
You
No, I've
know?
gotten a couple of those calls.
Of
What were you
course.
thinking? And then some of them I get, oh, that was so funny. When I can make him laugh, I know I've done a good
Yes.
job. So that's what I always kind of shoot for.
Oh my God, I still do it. I said that. Because there's times where he puts stuff and I'm like, why did you do that? It doesn't make sense. And then I get stuck in that mind frame of
Yeah.
like, well, it should have been done this way. And why didn't you show it to me? Why didn't
Yeah.
you know, I sometimes, again, I'm trying not to control everything.
But
I'm
it's-
trying not to control.
But it's good because it teaches us,
Sure.
again, you're pushing us. So I understand. I mean, there was a
Yeah.
time where he sat me down in his apartment and he's like, you got to keep doing it better. And I did. Nope. Wrong. Got to do it again. I did it like 15, 16 times. He's like, that's the good one. And I'm like, okay.
Oh man, I've been there before.
And it was kind of interesting to see him intense because it kind of like made me want to do better for myself, you know? So it's funny.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, no, it's good.
Oh my God, this is great.
But then there are times where I am sharing. He's like, you don't need to share everything with me. And I'm like, well, make up your mind, bro.
So you're gonna love this one, though. You're gonna love this one. So where I have learned is now when I change things, I send him a voice message or I record it on video. You'd be so impressed.
I'm impressed.
You'd be impressed
Wow.
because poor David, I'd be like, I never said that, and you go, you did. You said this. I go, no, I never said that. Why would I say that? That makes no sense. Right?
That's happened a few times, and I've had to like check him a little bit. Sometimes I've had it on video or audio, and I'm like, look, you said that. He's like, shit.
See, you're at a disadvantage because there's no one else. I had other people with me. I'd be like, Shannon, did he say that? Yeah, he
No,
did. Thank you.
I have my camera, I have my audio equipment. I'm good now. I learned right away. I was like, okay. He's just so caught up in everything going
Oh my
on.
God.
Yep.
You know, and listen, I forget things too.
Or I would text him, being like, "Hey, this is just a reminder for myself
Yes,
later."
yes.
But actually, it's to go back and be like,
Oh yeah, no. In the last few years, I've picked up a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But all of it's good. I'm just making a good
No,
funny
listen,
joke.
this is
All
I
of it's
love this.
good.
There's no don't be afraid.
Yeah.
That's the best thing about this is don't be afraid to share anything, honestly. Even if it's like negative, it just helps me and it's I mean, I know already. I already know. So I'm not worried about it. I just think it's nice that in a sick way, it's nice that people can kind of get that I'm not afraid.
Yeah.
That I'm like, go for it. Fucking tell a story. Like I dance with my demons.
Yeah.
Go for it. Listen.
But I also
I have
think
an
it's good.
OnlyFans. No, I'm just kidding. No.
I think it's good because it shows that, with you and him, you guys worked well together. With you and me, we work well together. If you can adapt to a person and work with them, you have something good there. That's how I always
And we
viewed
did.
that.
And I probably shouldn't. We look poor Jeff. Jeff. Well, should we say his last name? Or just Jeff. David was not my first coordinator. Not to downplay it all what you did, all whatever. But Jeff and another gentleman by the name of Ran were both of my coordinators in the beginning.
Okay.
Eventually, Ran left.
Yeah.
He couldn't stare at my nipples anymore. he would. I mean, like, I know he'll never watch this, but he would just I'd be talking to him, ran, and he's like, your nipples are hard.
So weird. No matter how many times you tell that, it's so
and
weird.
everybody was like, are you staring at his nipples? And he was just like, he would literally zone out. He would just be like so interesting. People are fun. And I had Jeff. Jeff was good. Jeff pushed me.
Oh, wow.
Because Jeff was way bigger than that show. Jeff wanted more money, and I couldn't give it to him. If I had the budget to give him more money, I would have given him more money. He was very good. Jeff was definitely a good coordinator because he pushed me the same way I pushed David.
I
But
also learned a lot from Jeff too.
Yeah, Jeff had his shit down. He was also older. Jeff's older, right?
Yeah.
Jeff's older. Jeff was older than me, and he, like I said, Jeff will always do wonderfully in any job that he ever has. He's kind of like me. I will, no matter if I shovel shit or go do trash at Disney, I will be the best at it ever. And Jeff actually is in Portugal right now.
Oh, wow.
So he travels a lot. I think he's working for Mercedes. I think it's that. Yeah. So he's good. He's really good. I learned a lot from him also too. I learned that, girl, you can always make money. Like, go make memories.
That's a good one.
I learned a lot from him. I learned a lot, and I even went to go help him pick out his apartment in Portland. Like, we've remained in touch for a while. I would love to have him on the show also too, because I'm sure he's got tons of tons of
good stories.
Oh yeah, and he doesn't. He's like me. He'll be like, oh, I'm gonna tell that about that. But yeah, so Jeff was Jeff and Ram were my first coordinators, and David was just a PA. Yeah. David was talk about moving from the very first level to the very, very top in a matter of 8 years, 7 years. Yeah.
I was a part-time PA.
Yep.
And then you brought me on full-time for Christmas week.
Wow.
And then you told me I can't promise anything after that.
Oh.
Because we don't know what the budget's going to look like, yada, yada. And then...
Because it was Kevin.
Yeah. Love you, Kevin.
He's in your tribe.
But, it was... We didn't know what was going to happen. And then we ended up working through Christmas break. Do you remember that?
Why did we work through Christmas break?
We had to keep trying to
Booking.
fill. Yeah, because January is always a hard time to book for audiences.
No one's traveling.
No one's traveling. The holidays are over. It's cold, rainy, whatever.
Nobody wants to come out. Yeah,
exactly. So we ended up working. So I'm like, sure, I'll come in. Why not? And then after the new year, I'm like, Danny, what am I doing? He's like, just come in.
Just keep coming.
Just keep showing up. Just keep showing up until Kevin says something. Like, that's legit. I'm like,
wow.
Is this kosher? Is this okay? Yeah. And I'm like, okay. And then I think it was a week after we got back from the first taping of the new, of January. And I ran into Kevin and he's like, congratulations. I'm like, on what? He's like, oh, you're full time. I was like, and I had a weird look. He's like, Danny didn't tell you? And I'm like, no.
Did Danny even know?
So I walk in. Kevin, go ahead, finish your story.
I walk into the office. I slam the door. I'm like, Danny, do you have something to tell me? And he's like, yay, you're full time.
I probably knew, but Kevin always gives away secrets.
Yep.
He also gave away that Dana was here for my 40th birthday party. Because I invited him, and he goes, oh, yeah, aren't you excited Dana's here? And I was like, she is? And he goes, oh, was that a surprise? I'm like, Kevin, he loves.
But also, he didn't tell me, when he promoted me to coordinator, he didn't tell me either.
Oh, okay.
He told my mom and all her friends at the show that day that I got promoted. So my mom came to the show for her birthday, and she brought all her friends. They made a big thing about it, and all of them were saying, congratulations, congratulations. I thought they were like, oh, that I'm working out on a show, congrats. And someone said promoted, and I'm like, what are you talking about? I didn't get promoted. And so we're walking to stage, and I'm like, oh, so something weird happened. And someone said I got promoted. He's like, yay! You have to go talk to Kevin about your rate later. I was like, what?
Oh my God.
Why did I tell your mom? I think I realized your mom was going to tell everybody.
Hello?
Well, I learned after the fact. Yeah, your mom loved that. Was good information for her.
That is so funny.
That's so funny. I remember that.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Wow, season one was a doozy. That was Holly and Leah.
Yep.
We had her. Okay, so in my episodes, I told the story. But you have to clarify whose mom was it? Was it Vicky or was it Dolores that gave you the keys to move her car? I think it was Dolores.
I think it was Dolores.
It was
yeah.
Dolores.
Yeah, it was.
So she
Dolores.
pulled up to the stage. She parked in the red. And I took the keys right out of the I said,
I didn't know what to do. I'm like,
I was like, give me those fucking keys. We are not a valet service. You move your own fucking car. Oh,
I mean,
hell
I was
no.
gonna do it.
I was
but-
just gonna ask,
but-
if he didn't do that, would you have done it?
I probably would have. But then I'm like, I don't know what car you drive. It's a
Yeah.
Mercedes, but it's like, hello, it's a studio lot. Everyone has a Mercedes.
Yeah.
You don't have to go up and click every single button to every car.
And then what would have happened if you got into an accident or something, you know, where
Exactly.
you were responsible?
They don't,
Yeah.
they don't think about those things.
Crazy, man.
They just want service. They forget.
Oh yeah.
How many other show moms did you personally have a run-in like that with? Within that, you know.
After the first season, it was only Sarah's mom. That was the only one we actually had to deal with a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Julie's parents would come in VIP, red carpet.
Super VIP.
Very quiet, very nice. They never really said or did anything that was like bad. You just had to be like buttoned up and be like,
oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure.
But that was it. Sarah's mom, and you know,
Sarah's mom.
Yeah.
But Sarah's mom wasn't as terrible as her
No.
guests.
yeah.
Her guests were pretty.
For
yeah.
a while, then they all. I think they all had a talking to because they all leveled out after a while.
They did.
Yeah, which was very nice.
Who else had?
Danny, you look like you're having like war flashbacks right
No,
now.
John. I'm
You're
like,
like staring into
I'm
the
like-
void.
I'm
You're
like-
like, oh my God.
I'm like flooded now because I'm thinking about like John's VIPs and like,
yeah.
you know, because listen, here's the thing. You know, when people are invited by an executive, then they take on the persona of the executive. Well, you know who I know,
Yeah.
or you know who I am. And at the end of the day, it's like, unless you're Sharon Osbourne, your last name is Osborne or Gilbert, and there's, and not that I'm trying to be disrespectful, but it's like, know your place, and you're
a guest.
You're a guest. You're a guest. I'm so sorry
Not
that
the
like
talent, yeah.
you think that you can go have a tour of the set on your own because you know John, and you're like, that's great. Like, I'm happy for you, but I can't. There were only so many things that I could promise, and if I let everybody do what they wanted, oh my God, there's cameras that move in and out. There's cords that people trip on. People don't realize that there are hazards and that there are stairs and there's dark areas. Like, I mean, people don't pay attention.
Yeah.
When you're a crew member, you're fucking trudging through with like 100, 200 pounds of things, chairs, whatever's being moved. And if you think that you have carte blanche on a stage to go walk around and take a tour because you know a particular executive, I'm so sorry.
Plus all the liability that goes with that.
But people don't understand
Yeah,
that.
no,
they
I
don't get it.
understand, yeah.
And also, it's a TV show.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a TV show. They forget it's a live TV show. So they're wanting to go visit with people. Oh, I should go say hi to this person. I'm like, well, no, we go live. You gotta be in your seat because when they pan the camera on the audience, we can't have an empty seat. And if I fill it, then you can't come back into
Yeah.
the first commercial. And our first commercial was what, 12, 13 minutes? It was long. The first opening was long. So if you didn't get in, you were there for a minute before we could pop you into the show. Wow. And again, they didn't realize that because it's all being filmed. Why can't I go to my seat now?
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
well, you should have been in the beginning. Like, well, I had to go talk to Sarah. Okay, well, that's not my fucking problem. Like, but we have to deal with 250 people. And, you know, when there would be giveaway shows, the VIPs, everybody thought we were Amazon delivery.
Yeah.
Poor David would be like, I have to go take all. And then there's a whole check and balance system that because we thought, well, great, we'll go put them in the dressing rooms of the hosts, right? They're going to be safe. Nothing's ever going to happen to them.
Yeah,
It's the
yeah.
dressing room. Shit started to disappear. So then we had to replace those things. And then it's not like as easy as, oh, here, I need another one of these. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
We fucked up. We have to go tell on ourselves, get approval through financials, get approval. There was all this insanity. Send an email to this person.
Get
We've-
approval from them, sign off on it, this, that, and the third.
And the thing is, it was always going to be a yes, and we knew that. But we would tell them, listen, it's probably going to be a yes, but these are the checks and balances we have to go through. Well, I don't understand. This is for, you know, Holly's family or Leah's family or whoever. And they would just throw these names out and expect you to be able to just be like, ding-a-ling-a-ling.
Yeah, yeah,
okay,
yeah.
let me make it work. which maybe in some productions it did, and they're obviously not on anymore. But it didn't work like that with us. CBS was very. It was the first show production that I worked on where I was like, fuck, like why all these reports? Like what? Nobody's gonna read them. Nobody cares. And I'm even curious this day if they even still do any of those reports at all.
That I don't know, but yeah, they never never read it or looked at them.
So before we get into all that stuff of like financials and giveaways, because we could have David for hours. David could be a whole year's worth of episodes.
Yeah.
Honestly, like there's so much to it, and we only have an hour. We're not going to do a 5-hour episode.
Well, before we go, I want to ask both you guys a question. What's one of the best memories you have working together that you always talk about? And then what's one of the worst that you both agree on? Like, oh yeah, that was the worst.
Oh,
or that was the best.
The worst I'd have to say was New York the first time. New York, so I had never been to New York. It was the very first time I've ever gone.
Okay.
And it was super exciting. The show is traveling. We got put up in a nice hotel. But then came the work. Danny was so nice. He actually did the whole tourist thing. We went to Empire State Building, Central Park.
Jeff was there too, right? Jeff came out.
Yep.
Jeff came out and met us.
We did all the touristy things because I had never been. I was like, thank you so much. He's like, oh, we're going to go to this restaurant. We're going to do this.
Posto Pizza. Pizza. Oh my God, it was amazing. It was so much fun.
But then came the work. Well, no internet. In the offices, the internet kept going down.
Oh, wow.
Couldn't print out the audience list.
So,
I'm
really,
jumping.
you're jumping. So we get there, and our makeshift temporary offices were the banquet rooms of the hotel that we were staying in.
Okay.
So again, going back to fortify what he said, they weren't set up for internet. They weren't set up for any type of office support at all whatsoever.
Wow.
They were just kind of putting it all together. And the executives really didn't care because they were like, whatever, we can print at the studio. But we have security lists. We have
giveaway lists. So many things we had to print out, get ready.
So you guys were like the ragtag.
Release forms.
Release forms.
Release forms.
All the most important things that you guys should have been at the top.
Oh, yeah.
You guys were the last.
Like I literally broke into a meeting of the minds of all the top executives because the IT guy was setting up their computers, and I break into the room. And I'm like, I need you right now because we were supposed to check in 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And the line is around the thing. We're behind already. I have to print everything out. I don't know how long this is going to take.
Yeah.
And I yank him out. I'm like, get this to work. I'm so sorry for the things I may have said to him. But finally he got to work. It printed out, ran out into the freezing cold. But yeah, that was.
And so to understand, though, the hotel we were staying at was not near the venue where we were recording. So the venue where we were recording was basically a lobby of a concert hall. Okay. So instead of having it inside the concert hall, because they didn't think that they could fill it, right?
Hey.
Number one, they could. Number two, they decided to have it in this like atrium area of this concert hall building, which was all glass. And then the audience was going to sit outside. Now, mind you, it's December.
I was just going to say, is it like January?
And it's New York.
Yeah.
Okay? In the meetings prior to this, they said, oh, everyone will get giveaways. However they were, right, we were supposed to have an audience inside, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, at the last minute, they changed it. They changed it and they said, nobody outside is getting anything. They're getting a talk seat cushion.
Wow.
Okay? That's their giveaway, is a cushion. Meanwhile, on the show, they had been touting, we're going to New York, tons of giveaways, tons of prizes. Come on.
Wow.
It was like dangling a carrot to the horse. Of course people were going to show up. At the last minute, all we had was enough room inside for VIPs. That's it.
So wow.
So there was a studio audience, but remember, it's the hotel lobby, and because of union rules, and that's not being. Oh my God, that's a whole nother story.
I have to drink for that episode.
Oh, my God.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm getting PTSD.
Oh, my
thinking about
God.
that. Oh man.
But like now that you're here, like I'm remembering all this stuff, like, and to jump into that really quick because I'll totally use.
You want to
which is-
save that? We should probably save that. Leave it on a cliffhanger for everybody.
Yeah, we should save that.
I really do.
I think you're right. I hate to do that to people, but you know what? Let's do it. So you got to find out more of the stories of Sahabla, and we're gonna have more of David for the next 20 years because there's so much to unpack, which is like my worst thing. I hate that when people are like, we have so much to unpack. It's like, what? Anyways, let's pivot.
Yes.
That's another fucking horrible one. Oh my God. People that, let's pivot. No. David, thank you for this first half of your
Yes.
episode.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for coming.
We're
I
not done with
appreciate it.
you. We're not done with you. We're definitely not done.
I think what's really great is that when I pitched the show, this is what I told him it would be about. We'd have all his friends that would come on that worked with him, and we could just talk all the shit we wanted about this show that, kind of put him through the ringer for the most part.
And talk
So,
shit about Danny.
yeah.
It's fun.
So it's kind of cool to actually finally see it coming together. It's really great.
Bullshit. Anyways, we hope you guys enjoyed this brief episode, and we will be back again with more hair and more shenanigans on Do It Like Danny. Oh, and don't forget to follow us on TikTok and the new Instagram, which is Do It Like Danny Show. No more do dot ellipsis ampersand Do It Danny Show. It's actually just Do It Like Danny Show. Please go like, please follow, please tell your friends, please, 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 please. And see you on TikTok. Bye.
Bye.